Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you on this Sunday. How's everyone doing? I'm pretty stoked to get into some of the stuff today. We have some wild songs, at least just based off of album art and song title and stuff. Glad to hear your day's going pretty good. Who do we have here already? We have Leon Musket, The Youth Worship Explosion, Synapse, Observe the Train Tedesco, who also just subbed. Thank you very much for that. Um, Charm Tiger's here, pretty cool. Hoping Brian isn't too sleep deprived from the alkaloid submission. Uh, that uh, that was definitely one of the longer one. That crossed the 4 hour mark, right? That was a big endeavor. And I also had the small change in my own schedule, which didn't help, is that I had to go get my kid from school that day rather than the person who usually gets her. So I lost like a good 50 minutes of work time for that. So that pushed me even further into the evening, which kind of sucked. But it is what it is, man. I enjoyed the album, so it's not a bad thing at all. What are, of all the Spectrum moments, which one's your favorite? My favorite was the moment when we didn't have any more Spectrum moments because we shifted over to a different ISP. We should have zero problems today. Rather than taking up about half of my upload bandwidth, I'm taking up 4% of my upload bandwidth. We should have no issues at all anymore. I'm excited. Trader. Yeah, I'm on fiber now, so instead of 10 meg up, I have a full gigabit up. It is nice. Unsubscribing and asking for a refund. Yeah, I got so fed up with it last Sunday when we had to cut the stream short that I had them come out the Monday or Tuesday after. It was sometime early last week and get it swapped out. It was just like, this is it. We're changing. So I got tired of that. I posted a comment on the Bay City Rollers video with some context from the original Patreon submission in case you want to read more. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I haven't gotten to the comment. I think the last time I checked comments was Tuesday or Wednesday, so I'm a couple days behind on that, but I'll get caught up. I'll probably get caught up today, this afternoon. Spectrum is Spectre now. That's some good wordplay. I like it. We do have quite a few songs today. I have 13 scheduled, just like last week, just like next week, I think. Except one of them is a double, and I forgot to take that into account. So we have 14 songs worth of music to check out, 14 requests worth. Your face has a higher bitrate glow this morning. I actually haven't changed anything on my side. I'm still just pushing at 4 megabit per second, so nothing should look different. It's just going to be stable today, which I'm pretty excited about. I'll start playing with the extra bandwidth sometime in the future, but it works right now, and I don't want to break that. Every time I touch something with OBS, it breaks, and I end up starting from scratch. Oh, good call. I have not pinned the songs. They are underneath the video. There's a little box in the About tab that I think is just infinitely more readable. But I will post it here just to make it easier for anyone who just wants to see it there. I went into an old YouTube stream and couldn't get why the chat wasn't matching the on-screen one. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's get into some music. That's what we're here for. Oh, yeah, we're starting off with Johnny's. This one has had my interest since it was suggested a couple weeks ago. Just really like the guitar and drums. The vocals I could do without for a solid 95% of the track, and the production values leave a lot to be desired. It's from some small time, definitely not famous anime. And I remember I asked what anime it was, and I don't remember what the response was anymore, but it was not small time. All right. Chainsaw Man. There we go. Click the wrong post on new videos. Okay. That's what happens. Yeah, that definitely, you're going to see some chat misalignment there. All right. Let's dive into this one. See what's going on with First Death by TK. Different ending song every episode? That is very interesting. Dude, that is a crunchy guitar tone. Very bright, twangy guitar off on the side. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting with the vocals. It's in the emo screamo realm. I'm enjoying it. The balancing of the instruments is interesting though. You gotta get the bells in there. I always feel like I need to turn it up, but it's already quite loud. But I feel like I can't hear it. It's so really interesting, and the drums being in the back, yeah. That's might be what I'm latching onto. Yeah, bringing the motif back against the glitch is a really nice way to bring us out of that verse. I think that's it too. It's the drums. Very clean falsetto. Yeah, the offbeat hi-hat thing is real nice there. Let's put 3 endings on the track. Okay. What a wild ride. It's very high intensity. That main guitar riff that kind of takes us between the chorus into the verse, the one that kicked the song off, tons of grit. It's such a buzzy sound. Oh, we got some coffee going. Very nice. I don't drink coffee, but you know, people who like it, it's a good way to start the morning. Me, I guess I'm just a punky music and water kind of guy. Water's not great for waking up, but can never have enough endings. Oh, I must have missed the static. Yeah, I'm not a big coffee fan. But back to the music. This was very high energy. I like how it feels like it takes a lot from the poppier side of like emo, post-hardcore, lots of texture-based atmospheric playing, but it still features quite a few nice solid riffs too, and it has a lot of glitch elements as well. Kind of carries over some metal aesthetics. Maybe something like alternative metal or metalcore as far as overall sonic representation. It definitely has that grit, that bite, that energy, and it kind of brings it all together into something that features a little dash of everything. There's some wild guitar riffs, there's some fun drumming, very bouncy, there's catchy vocals and melodies all throughout. We bring in the the hip hop part in the middle of the song with the rap and the simplified composition with the bells on top, just because you gotta have bells during a rap section in a modern alternative metal song for some reason. And it's a little dash of everything. I dig it. I dig it, and I do like the vocals here. Like I said, they're very much my cup of tea. I don't know what I was expecting with Johnny saying that could have done without them, but I was like, oh geez, this is gonna be like maybe some like screaming, growling or something. Maybe it was gonna be really weird vocals, and nope, nope, just whiny emo stuff. Exactly what I love. So yeah, I enjoyed that. And what I find interesting too is I think it was Inky had mentioned that there's a different ending track at the end of every episode, which I don't think I've seen. Oh, okay. So I was gonna say I don't think I've seen a show that does that, but I feel like American shows do that, where they pick a show that match, or they pick a song that matches maybe the emotion of the final scene of an episode. But I can't think of too many. I mean, I don't watch a lot of anime either, but I can't think of too many anime where they change up closing outro tracks. They're all made specifically for the anime too. That's cool. I dig that. The other songs I know from him are super melodic. See, I found this to be rather melodic too, so I might have to check out more of this TK because I enjoyed that. 2 million monthly listeners. Oh dang, they have a very popular song called Unravel. And they have an EP out. Last month is when, oh, it's a single track though. That's not an EP. You put in a TV edit, an instrumental, and an English version, all the same song. You call it an EP. I can't get behind that. That's a single. I'm gonna pull that one down though. I gotta check that guy out. Or artist. I think it's, well, there's only a single person in the artist picture on Spotify, so. Unravel is the title, just mix them up. Oh, okay. 6-track EP mislabeled as a single on Spotify. Dude, I wonder how much of it is Spotify and how much of it is the artists. Does Spotify like use an algorithm to determine a what would the labeling, the format, I guess is what we would call it? Or is it supplied by the distributor or the artist themselves? At this point, I'm only using Spotify because I want to use what is most popular. I I'm kind of in that same boat. I kind of wish someone else would come up with an API. Deezer, Cobuzz, what's the other one? Tidal? Apple? If somebody just had a backend API that I could pull information from the same way I do with Spotify, I'd be all over it. I was just having this conversation with somebody too. Oh, it was a Zoom call with a bunch of fellow YouTubers. And we got on the topic of Spotify because they started pushing something. Oh, ads in premium. That's going to be something that they're playing around with. And I was like, the moment they do that, I'm leaving, but I'm going to miss the API. And I know there's a way to tap into it, into Apple's, with a program called Cider, I think. All right, Johnny, have a good rest of your day. And so I might be able to do it with Apple down the line if I need to. But yeah, dude, I heard about putting ads into premium. I don't know if it's a solid, like, this is going to happen, here's, like, in Q3 we're doing it kind of idea, or if it's just been something that's been floated, a possibility. But I mean, so many of the smaller video streaming services already do it. I know Peacock does. You buy no ads tier and you still get ads on some content. So it's something I knew Spotify was going to do it eventually. They're too big not to. So they're also really big on, like, I mean, every company's big on their bottom line, but I feel like Spotify is one of the greedier ones. They provide so much less functionality compared to the others. They don't even have lossless audio yet. And yet I feel like they charge more than everyone else, which is just ridiculous. They do put ads on the podcast on premium, but you can skip them. But when you use a VPN, the ads disappear. Maybe that's why I haven't heard them yet, because I exclusively listen to Spotify on a VPN. Not for any specific reason, it's just I always have a VPN going. But Adobe is, like, I don't use Adobe. I don't know too much about it, but I do know that they went from one really expensive license to a really expensive monthly subscription. And I already thought they were expensive before they went subscription. So they've always seemed like a company that knows they can get away with price hikes because they're in the corporate world. You're not going to find anyone, or very rarely you'll find anyone in the corporate world using, Affinity or something like that. Everyone uses Adobe. So they can get away with it and it'll get paid. And that's that. I don't know. They have specific apps I use, like Acrobat Pro. Oh, that's a PDF, right? I don't know. Like, I have Foxit, but I don't use PDFs enough to know if, like, Foxit is missing something really integral to, I don't know, a corporate side of PDF usage. So I have no experience in that realm. If there's even like a true competitor to Acrobat, have to use it for accessibility remediation for customers. All right. I miss when corporations hadn't discovered monthly subscriptions for what should be a one-time purchase. 100%. 100%. And it has led me to doing, to looking up alternatives to stuff. Anytime I see a subscription, I'm like, well, is there something else out there? That's my first reaction to it now. There are certainly some things that I think deserve to be subscription based. I think having access to a massive library of media, such as, streamers, Netflix, and Spotify and stuff like that, that makes sense. Monthly access to a large library. But software, I don't know. I understand having to keep the lights on, creating updates and stuff like that, improving the application. But I've always been a big fan of the pay once and get all the updates for the version. So, you buy version 7 and you get all the 7 updates. And when 8 comes out, maybe there's an upgrade fee. I'm 100% on board with that, because then if I don't want to pay for more, if I'm happy with the product as it is, I still have access to that. And if I want to keep supporting the development, or if I want the upgrades, I can pay for that. Like, that seems like the best of both worlds to me. A way to have rolling income coming into the company while also being a bit more pro-consumer. Or I can find an alternative on the high seas. How long until we can't buy games on Steam but have to pay monthly in order to keep playing it? I mean, World of Warcraft calls. A lot of older MMOs. I know a lot of MMOs now are going for the free-to-play angle, but that's how Ableton does it. Reaper does it. Actually, I feel like in the music world, it's very common. to go with the rolling updates or rolling payments format. But yeah, yeah, dude, you're not okay. So back in the day, we had games like EverQuest, World of Warcraft, and Warhammer Age of something, and Asheron's Call, and a bunch of MMOs that you would go out and buy the disc, and when you installed it, you couldn't play until you also paid a monthly fee. And you only got to play for the month that you paid for. Um, that's kind of waned off a little bit. And massively multiplayer games typically go for a free to play, but maybe you have to buy more stuff, more storage or access to quests or stuff like that. But yeah, the old school way was buy the game and a subscription. I forgot you were old. I don't know how old I look. Like, I know how old I feel and how old I look to myself when I look in a mirror. But I do know that this webcam softens up some lines too. So maybe it makes me look a little younger. But I'm coming up on 40. I got gray in my hair. I've been around since, geez, I think I'm half a decade off from the inception of arcades, like the birth of video games. So, yeah, I mean, I remember a lot of old stuff in that realm. Gone completely high seas on shows and movies. Wow. I don't think it's that bad. As long as you cycle, like don't go out and get a subscription to every single service. But I think $10 a month generally, and you just kind of cycle it around. This month you do Netflix, catch up on some of that stuff. You know, if you run out of shows to watch, maybe this other show you're excited for pops up on Showtime or something. Cancel your Netflix, do a month of that. And I don't know, that seems reasonable to me. You look, oh, the back pedal. No, I'm kidding, man. I know. Trust me, I feel old, and I'm okay with that. I got a young haircut, you know, I did the undercut trying to still be a little hip, but I'm coming up on 40. I know, man. I'm reaching that middle age area. I'm not going to look great forever. Tired of supporting these services that cancel the good shows. I understand that. Arcade Hall, Space Invaders, old. I don't know what Arcade Hall. Oh, unless you just like arcades in general. But yeah, Space Invader. That was a little before my time. Curious when Space Invader came out, actually. Netflix got 300 million to butcher the Electric State, in which they could have retained like 5 good shows for that. I do think it's crazy how much Netflix pays for shows, specific shows. Oh yeah, 1978. Okay, so I said half a decade. It was more like a decade. Although if we go back to Space War, I think it's going to be a little older than that. Oh no, Space Wars was 77? Really? For some reason I thought Space Wars predated the arcade stuff by a while. Wait, was it not? No. Oh yeah, Space War. Space War. Only one of them. 62. Yeah, that was a big jump back. That was, I think, the first video game. 13 and 78. Yeah, you're just a little older than me. If we're talking about old enough to play, I'm Space Harrier. Oh, geez, that's a classic. Tangent check. Oh, good call. uh, yeah, we got music we gotta listen to. I could talk about video games just as much as I could talk about music. Uh, but we ain't got time for that today. We're gonna get going. Thank you for that, Inky. I'm gonna check out some Skuggor. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, it's going to be a long one. I've already plotted out like 2.5 hours for today, and I ate a late breakfast, so I'm kind of hoping that tides me over or later than usual. On pace for the 5 hour stream. I've thought about doing a 24-hour stream before. the hard thing is I have so many responsibilities. I'd have to like plan my life around that, and it hasn't really been a good time for it. This one comes from Synapse. Surely we can't not have black metal on the live stream. This means I'm going with the single from the upcoming album of the Swedish band Skuggor, Swedish for Shadows. Why do it? Why not do it? You know, I remember Adam Neely was a smaller YouTuber, and him playing the lick for 24 hours had him, had his channel explode. I don't know how much of the virality actually led into that, or how much of it was just the quality of his videos at the time, but I think there's a small correlation there. So I've been thinking about weird YouTuber stunts to try to boost the channel's numbers a little bit. A bucket list thing. Any guesses as to when the game streams will continue? Okay, so I've been planning this for like the last 2 weeks. I've been like, okay, Wednesday is when we start again, and then something comes up. And I was like, okay, then it'll be Friday, because those are my 2 days that I really have open for it. And then something comes up, and I'm planning on it being this Wednesday. I really am. I have the schedule for recording plotted out to have this pocket open to continue on with Nier on Wednesday. I just hope nothing happens in the next 2 days that messes with my schedule. So that's the plan. We'll see if it actually happens. It's been ridiculous how many things keep coming up. All right, let's get into some Skuggor Meditations upon the Roots of Infinity. That's a title right there. Can we request games for you to play? Yeah, if you want to, I suppose. I just don't know when I'll get to them. The new game, Lord of the Rings, by that company that I liked, and I can't remember who made it. Strong atmosphere right off the bat. It was very right-leaning, yeah. Oh, that's right, it was made by Daedalic. Yep, they were like the German LucasArts. I would never have expected them to make a third-person game. Ooh. That sustained ringing in the back. So I think it's an organ-ish sounds, probably a synthesizer, or a keyboard. But to me, it sounded like glass, like wine glasses. Yeah, it's a shame Daedalic went under from that. I really liked the Deponia series. Is this the whole song? That's fair. That's fair. It does capture a lot of the vibes of the title. Expecting at the end of any of these phrases to shift into blast beats, and we don't get it. And part of me is happy about that, but part of me is disappointed too. Yeah, but it's not really blasting, is it? Yeah, this is bubbly blast. I can go with that. The more I listen to it, the wilder it feels. Yeah, it's black metal without the weight, without the heaviness. We've listened to stuff like that before, but it tends to deviate away, like post-black metal, it tends to deviate away from the compositional side and kind of stick with just the production and atmosphere and textures. Yeah, conveys an emotion and atmosphere. That's about it. It feels like black metal without ever really playing black metal. It's got a rock beat going on in the background. Just 4-chord progression on some fuzzy-ish guitars, but honestly not too bad. We got some vocals in there that are kind of harsh, but really not too bad. It's like, hey, you know, we like the static white noise, snowy atmosphere of black metal, but we don't actually want to play metal. And so they don't, and they create this thing that captures the vibe of black metal without the energy. And like I said, we've listened to stuff, I would say like the first 3 or 4 minutes, I wish I could remember the name of it. It was like a folk band that had a blackened atmosphere to it, but they primarily played slower music, kind of like this, more ambient, while still retaining a lot of the fuzz and noise. Ambient black metal. Okay. Yeah, like I said, we've heard stuff like it. It's got a blackened core, but the blast beats come in and they just... It's almost absurd because I know how much energy goes into playing the snare like this, and playing at this speed, but it's like this ta 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 ta, just this really light tapping in the background, and it just feels so absurd. It's I don't know, it's wild. It's like watching somebody scream right next to you, but it just comes out as a whimper, but like their veins are popping out, and it has all the rasp of it that you expect of a scream, but it's just lacks the volume somehow. It feels alien. And that just cracked me up there at the end. That kind of beat isn't really that uncommon. The blast or the rock beat? But I think, see, this is a weird place too, because I like this infinitely more than most black metal. The atmosphere feels great. It kind of has that eerie gothicness that black metal likes to play around with, without ever going into like the theatric side of a gothy sound that gothic metal likes to play with. It just captures this darkness, this eerie darkness. And I think the lighter volume kind of helps it too. I'm okay with all that. But I have so many expectations for this sound and it never meets them. And that creates a very interesting experience with this, where in a vacuum, I think it's a perfect track. It works really well. But in context of my experience with this genre and what I've come to expect from these sounds, it's really interesting to find myself wanting it to go in a direction that I generally don't like sonically, but that I expect. You like the soft blasts? I think I could come around to them. I definitely enjoy them more than the traditional in-your-face loud blast beats. Also because they feel a little bit, I don't know if this is actually ghost notes. They feel very light. They don't have a lot of attack, but they do have the sizzle from the snare beads. And that sizzle changes. And so there's a little fluctuation of texture to the snare, and it's not just a rapid repetitive hitting. It feels like almost like a rattlesnake underneath the song. It works rather well. It's just kind of comical, again, in context of what I expect and what I've heard in a lot of black metal. Yeah, I don't know if they're ghost notes though. Like I said, it takes a lot of energy to play the snare at that speed. And I suppose it's sort of like with a wind instrument, learning to play loud without using a lot of air, or learning to play soft but still supporting the sound properly, and learning how to separate your volume and your air control. And maybe this is that too. This person separated the speed from the power, and found a way to play fast but quiet. And that just seems backwards to me, but maybe it's because I've tried to play blast beats, and to me it's always loud. I'm not trained on that. I'm not an expert. Blastant beats. Too shy to have a real blast. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I dig that. Not what I would go out of my way to listen to, but if everyone wanted to give me that kind of black metal in the future for requests, I would not be upset about that at all. All right, we have some Swans here, which usually I'm a bit apprehensive about because me and Swans, we just don't see eye to eye. They like to make music that it's not for me in a lot of ways. That's not to say all their stuff's bounced off of me, but it's been pretty consistent. I do think we started off with something I enjoyed from them, something a bit more country-esque. Somber, I think it was too, but this was like back in 2020. So I might be misremembering things, so I might be getting confused with someone else. But today, we have one from Satelli. You tend to get the blunt end of the stick when it comes to Swan songs, very heavy and uninviting. I can't say that I'm not guiltless in that. So here's a song much more inviting while still very intriguing in both songwriting and structure. Hopefully you find more in this than you have in their other songs. So I'm excited to get into this and see if maybe I can find a different side of Swans that is going to work for me at least a little bit better. Let's dive in. I appreciate their creativity and sort of leading the way in more industrial and experimental sides of rock. But yeah, I had a hard time getting into them beyond the arm's length appreciation. I figure every band who plays more experimental stuff has something more accessible, and with how much music Swans has created, there has to be a pocket of more accessible stuff. But as the requester mentioned, it just never gets requested to me. I get the heavier, more esoteric stuff from them. So that first song that I think I heard from Swans that I thought was more palatable was called Blind. And I remember being fairly receptive to that.
I'm not a man, and I don't feel love, and I don't see anything.
In fact, these are the vocals I remember from Blind too.
From above, but this world's been slowly, and I see a light rising from behind the horizon up into the clear black sky. But I don't see you, my line of sight. In fact, I can't remember why we are alive.
I love the way the progression ends.
Na, 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 while we're alive. Na,
What year did this come out?
na, while we're
91? Alright, yeah, that matches with the Cure comments there. Okay. The production is really interesting. There's a heavy use, I think, of ducking in here, as well as allowing some sounds to clip and create a bit of extra crispiness to it. Yeah, the bass drum is absorbing sound. That's the ducking. When it comes in, other things like get out of the way for it. Very large and theatric. It's an interesting set of two sounds. There's a moodiness to this, but I think generally a lot of brighter sounds. And then that section's real heavy. Yeah. Great contrast. The pacing works rather well too. Are we gonna do that again, or... Oh no, this is the end. It's 6 minutes already? That did not feel like a 6-minute song. Okay. Yeah, that's... One, I am more receptive of that, but I think also it's just a more palatable track in general. It doesn't focus on odd noises. I know I've been given a lot of stuff in their industrial era of music, so like they play around with a lot of interesting noises and sounds in general, not traditionally music sounds. But I mean, here we have rhythm, we have atmosphere, we have melody. The three, the core foundation of music right there, and a lot of it is traditional sounds too. Nice use of growth into that midsection. It does have a rather lengthy intro though. It takes us like 3 minutes to get to the second part of the song. So that kind of fits a bit more with that, what was it? No wave? Is that what was going on? Where they were kind of focusing on like single sounds and just building an entire song out of one section. Kind of going in that direction. But I think it works fine. The vocalist kind of keeps us going through there. There are some little changes, little ornamentations that happen so it doesn't feel totally static. And then the build up into that second section worked really well. I like the atmosphere of that second section, and we kind of bring it back down, almost as if the storm passes and we wind up back where we were to wrap the song up in the last 30 seconds. Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of twofold though, because on the one hand, I enjoyed this quite a bit more than most Swans tracks. But on the other hand, I feel like there's less to talk about, the less experimentation, more standard ideas going on in here. It is an absolutely phenomenal song from an emotional and artistic perspective, but as far as deep diving into it, I can see why maybe some of their other tracks get picked for reactions, full analysis, whereas something like this wouldn't. But yeah, it's nice to know that Swans has songs like this. Swans have songs like this. It's not fair when it's a plural name, but it's a singular band. It really messes with grammar. I enjoyed it though. That was a nice little reminder that even the most abrasive bands can have some stuff that's more acceptable or palatable. All right, the Omnific. This is metal, prog metal, tech death maybe even. The whole album's like that. Awesome. Might be an album I can get into, and it also has a smoothness to it too. Aside from some of the interesting production choices, it's just a song that goes down really well, goes down really easy, and so. I don't really have to engage much with it to understand the emotional palatability of it. There is a little bit of complexity, but for the most part, the writing's pretty straightforward, the layering's pretty straightforward. So it's something that I could sort of just listen to. Just kind of put the headphones on, chill out, and enjoy it. If the whole album captures that energy well, yeah, it might be something. Let me pull that aside. It was going to be one of those things where I was like, oh, it was kind of nice to hear Swans in a different light, see Swans in a different light. But yeah, maybe that's something I'll check out. My first Swans album will be that one, which interestingly enough was called something to do with infinity. White Light from the Mouth of Infinity. So that's the second infinity we've had today. All right, the Omnific. Like I said, I think we're getting some progressive metal here from Scarlet Litterman. Cool instrumental bass stuff again, but a bit different. All right, let's dive into this. "24 hours isn't infinity." A day can feel like forever. That's for sure. Bass takes up a lot of the room, but that moving melody on top sounds great. Yeah, so we're in 7. I like the drum part too. Constant sound, no real groove or backbeat or anything like that in that section. synth is a nice touch too, just enough to be present and to influence the atmosphere without really taking up too much space. That polyrhythm. Not a fan of the bass tone. I think that's my only problem with it so far, is the bass primarily focused. That was clean. The bass primarily focuses on rhythm. Enough groove and the drummer can do whatever they want. Yeah, 100%. The bass is laying down the rhythm 100% here. This melody though, that's a bass, isn't it? This is all bass. So did the bassists double track this? Or do they have two bassists in their bands? Background gents. Cold, but a little bit of truth to it. That's the whole band. I can kind of get behind that. That precise three-finger stuff, yeah. Love bringing the lower end in line with the melody there at the end. I wish we would have seen a little bit more of that, because a lot of this song was basically one bassist sits on the two lowest strings and creates a rhythmic groove, and then the other one stays on the two highest strings, maybe even the highest string, and plays a melody. And so at the end of the song, finally having melodies that move across the entire neck, that's what I'm talking about. I really enjoy that. Now, Spotify put a little video in the corner, and by video I mean a 5-second loop, and it really irritates me that what's being played in the song isn't lining up with what's being shown. But it did get me think, hey, is there a video for this? And there is. And so I'm going to throw that here just real quick. I don't know how loud this is going to be, so I'm going to leave it on mute. But yeah, it's a full bass playthrough. And I might end up watching that later. because I want to see primarily the melody line. I might even want to learn that. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. As for the song itself, though, I enjoyed it for what it was. I do feel like it's kind of goes for atmosphere over narrative melody writing, and maybe that's just my connection to it. But that's kind of what I meant when someone had called it background gent or something like, oh, youth worship explosion. Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel about it too, is that it never really demands my attention. It is very cool, very intricate. There's a lot of skill on display here, but it never demands my attention. The melodies that are being played aren't, they're not narratively driving to me. They feel like they add to the immersion of the atmosphere, which is cool. It creates a very atmospheric type of complex playing, and that's usually pretty difficult to pull off. Atmospheric stuff tends to be on the simpler side to build the atmosphere. Complex stuff tends to grab your attention because there's a lot of moving ideas, and somehow they found a way for that to meet in the middle. Don't. You were expecting more strings? I think I was expecting 6 based on the lowest notes there. But when I was thinking about the highest, I was actually thinking about grabbing my bass. Kind of seeing where I could find the notes that were being played in the melody. Because, like I said, originally I thought it was a guitar. And I kind of came to the conclusion mentally it's probably the top of the 4th string in a 4-string band bass. So I don't think they would need another high string. The low string is where I really thought they were a bit lower. And I think a lot of that comes to the production. It just feels very punchy. A few parts did catch your attention. I agree with that. There were a couple of lines, and particularly there at the end as we began to incorporate more notes into the melody, that I felt that I was beginning to engage with it a bit more. But I mean, the Genti rhythms, I've said it before, man, it's a spice. You can't make it the whole song, and they did. There was some very fun polyrhythms, some nice melodic drumming coming from the drummer too. I like those moments. The drummer and the bass working together to create this solid rhythmic foundation for the melody to sit on top of. That was nice. I mentioned the synth production kind of being rather quiet works out really well for this. So this is this is very solid right here. And we've checked out other Omnific before, haven't we? I don't think I ever knew they were, or maybe I don't remember, is more accurate, that they don't have a singer. I can see me getting guitars confused. But yeah, we did them last month, right? I don't remember the lack of singer though, and I don't remember the double bass thing either. I did remember metal though. I got that right. This poor brain, man. It can remember music from an hour ago in quite a bit of detail, and that's about as far as my memory goes. I have really good short term, terrible long term. Unless something just really clicks with me and leaves that impression. But, like I'll say, it's also because I listen to so much music. That also doesn't help. If I had heard maybe a full album of Omnific and it was the only thing I listened to that week, it might be a bit more of I might remember it better than a single song in the middle of like, a live stream or something like that. Where that week I've also listened to 12 other songs and a full album, and that's just for the channel. But I do think I have pretty terrible long term anyways. Blast beats isn't a genre and shouldn't be utilized as such. I'm totally on board with that. Totally on board with that. But yeah, this is I mean, it's good enough that I'm gonna watch it. Well, I'm gonna watch the video, but I'm gonna listen to it again. So I guess that says something about it. Even if I was sort of neutral to it, lukewarm on it. But like I said, lots of skill on display. I like what they're going for. Maybe it's just that song that doesn't capture me. That maybe another one would. Beehive Ski Race. entomological field research. Now, I've been curious about this for a couple of weeks now. Getting real southern here. I don't know what we're in store for. Oh, you're an entomology. And why is that harder to say than entomological? That one just rolls off the tongue. Entomology. Oh, it's because the emphasis changes. That's why. I'm trying to say it with the other one's point of inflection. I can actually say I've done some entomological field research for real. That's awesome. I know you deal with insects. Is that what it is? Entomological? Got some real entomological stuff going on down around here. Very cool to see some people in the community getting into that realm. Honestly, that's one of the few scientific terms that I say few as if, I'm very well versed in the world of science, but I don't know what that refers to. I mean, obviously it's the study of something, but oh, a branch of zoology that focuses on insects. Okay, that makes sense. All right. And so are bees insects? I don't know if like insects is like a blanket term, like the umbrella term for everything, or something else. The scientific name of a genus of gal wasps. Oh, I'm gonna go look that up later. Have I been saying your name right, by the way? Because there are times in my mind I'm like, wait, maybe it's synips and not synips. But now that I know it's an actual word, I can go listen to a pronunciation of it. Insects are generally six-legged. Okay, so bees are six-legged. And their band is called Beehive Ski Race. So that kind of fits with their insect theme that they have going on here. Alright, so things are coming together here. No one knows what is the proper pronunciation. Well, I'm gonna put my my flag in the ground here. It's synips. I'm defining the proper pronunciation for all of the science world, despite not being a scientist or a doctor of any sort. Knips? Oh, yeah, see? Don't even know where it originates from, so that definitely puts some haziness into it. This is an interesting album art. I originally thought maybe I had the wrong one. Got kind of like an cartoon anime kind of character here, but no, this is the right song. And oh, so it might actually be a K. Oh, so I might have the first letter wrong completely. That's interesting. Context for this. From Thoughts. I'm doing a live stream. Okay. That's fun. I like that. The nonsensicals thing I think is better than just no comment at all. I'm still left in the same frame of mind, but kind of throws me off guard, and that's always fun. Let's dive into this one and see what's going on with this this bee ski race stuff. That is the context. Okay.
Tell me how it makes you feel. Tell me what you think. However many years and I'm no better. She would block everything possible out like clockwork. And I could break the NDA that held her. My mother got hated the mail when I came out at 18.
Those vocals are ridiculously emotive.
I struggle to think they win when I go avoiding.
Putting the emo in there.
Sequential like DNA, just splitting hairs.
Also, you saying entomological makes me think of an emo ent giving us logical reasons for something, and that's a ridiculous image. Did he just scream, "I am an insect"?
Tell me how it makes you feel. Tell me what you think. When a spiral cliff drops off again, she fought a new experience. I exercise the medicine. Even that hell is not there. We have created our own. Dropping bombs for a check for a madman. Fucking leveling up your last chance. You're writing these lyrics will highlight your check. I watch from far away. Oh, come back and talk your pain.
Dude, that cymbal polyrhythm.
No reason. Oh, no coverage on Saturday.
The way that the cymbal is just pushing against what the bass and snare are trying to do, keeping that 4/4 is, and so much space between the snare accent. Ooh.
Open up all entropy. Understanding you and me. If change can happen, I would change it, you know. But decaying collective doesn't help me at all. When the waiting was done, I tried to.
I wasn't expecting such consonant clean vocals from the vocalists.
When the face of glass, hanging back up by the evidence and burning, cut up the life. Your curve curves. Your slip was pink, and our books say you were red. You watch the fire.
The vocals are definitely an acquired taste.
The fighting wasn't clear. Invent new ways to get you off your ass. Oh, no work ethic, no vocation, a good for nothing. Oh,
It's interesting for the song to sort of bottom out energy here and focus on this atmosphere over all else. Ah, jeez. Okay. So that was a good bit of screamo in there. Great pacing of energy. Like the drum work. The guitars are usually in duality, usually doing two different things, but lined up with each other in a way that tends to hyper focus on atmosphere over anything else. There are riffs in there, there are moving ideas, but generally it's to create the atmospheric side of things. And this community has trained me on the acceptance and even some appreciation of this vocal style. Very cool. The drums are very energetic in a lot of places, really bringing in that punk energy of syncopated bass kicks against backbeat snare work. And, from that angle, it's a pretty straightforward, like, punk, emo, screamo kind of song, somewhere in that area. And the vocals are 100% very screamo, just whiny, raspy, yelling kind of stuff. Very much an acquired taste in that realm, much like, you know, most vocal work is, especially once you get outside the realms of, you know, traditional vocals, cleans. But the song kind of moves around too. We have that section that I think is really interesting where we have the polyrhythm on the drums. The drums also don't play very much in here. It creates a feeling of a looseness of time where the rhythm that pushes against the 4/4 beat is the most prevalent and present one. We get every single beat of that polyrhythm where we don't get every single beat of the 4/4 that the song is written in. And that creates a really interesting divide where it almost makes you hear the song in this new time signature despite it not really being there. And if you hear it in the new time signature, the snare and bass kick stuff does not make any sense at all. It's like, why are you playing the snare at this part? It's not lining up with the beat of the song. And it's not syncopated in a way that's positive. It pushes against it. The guitar is kind of quiet down here a little bit and is just texture, harmony. There's chords being played, lots of static, lots of white noise, but it just feels very open. It feels like all the energy has dropped and we're just kind of like hanging here, waiting for something to happen. And I find that to be a really interesting and a really interesting atmosphere and emotion that feels like it's full of conviction. Like they really went for this artistic representation of, you know, kind of hitting a lull or maybe even a low against the high of the speed and energy from elsewhere in the song. The clean vocal section with like the poppier drums and the brighter guitar melody, that was unexpected too, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm kind of curious what the lyrics are about. The rhythmic dissonance was, yeah, in that section, it immediately grabbed my mind. There was some cool stuff on the guitar side, on the bass side, all that. But the first time through, I was like, what's happening with the drums? And I just hyper focused on that through like 80% of the first time through that section. It was all I could think of, all I could focus on. I love that moment. Yeah, interesting stuff there. So I'm gonna have to check out some more of them. Are they new or are they an older group? Definitely has a modernish production to them, but I don't know. Bands surprise me sometimes. Always sounding from an era that they aren't from. Oh, brand new. Yeah, okay. I'll have to check that out. Maybe I already have. Well, I can't open my other Spotify right now where my playlist is. Maybe they're already in my list of albums to check out for the year then. I don't know. If not, they're getting added in there. I don't know if I'm going to like a full album of it, but they got me there. That progressive-ish emo stuff is pretty cool. All right. Armor for Sleep. This is an interesting name for a band. Stay on the Ground. We got a guy floating up in the album art. Comes from Nico. This is one of the albums that first got me into concept albums, and I listened to this so many times back in high school. I saw them last month for the 20th anniversary tour of this record, and it was such a big nostalgia hit. This is my favorite song from their 05 sophomore release. That guy isn't listening. Oh, Jesus, good. All right, let's dive into this. Ooh.
Started looking out for myself today.
Are we going pop rock or pop punk here? Cross stick. Oh, you know, it might even be like alt rock.
So now I'll stop 'cause I don't care.
Yep, alt rock. Just hanging onto this chord.
I started looking out for myself today.
That's a fun bass line.
'Cause I don't care. I'm feeling bored of feeling numb. So now I
Who do they remind me of? I like the rasp. Yeah. Hey, Evil, welcome. Yeah, dude, I would have been all over this in 06 too, 05. Oh! Smile Empty Soul. That's who they remind me of. Alright, I gotta check this out. Really interesting delivery on that. Stay on the ground. Just kind of hit that note and then move down into the other one. Alright, have a good rest of your day. There's definitely a punky element to it, yeah. Such a classic trope. Start the final chorus on a low energy, halfway through, knock it back up to the full chorus sound. Really interesting delivery of ground. Oh. I thought it was over. You know what's funny is I also feel like that's a bit of a classic. Kind of creating a new section to the song and fading that out. I hear that in a lot of like emo and pop punk, and I guess that's about it of that time. I enjoyed that. Mall Screamo? Is that what it is that what Rate Your Music has it as? I would not put that as Mall Screamo. To me, that's alternative rock or maybe even post grunge. Yeah, they have emo pop Mall Screamo. Interesting. Because like I said, my parallel for that is Smile Empty Soul. A little bit of early The Used, like their first two albums, but honestly, I don't know, this feels more rock to me. Kind of curious. I mean, maybe it's the rest of the album too. This is just one song on it. Maybe the album is very screamo, but that song's not. That's a very mid-2000s alt-rock track to me. There's this one black metal song that fades out on the only solo in the song. That would be the most never request that for me. I'm already not a big black metal fan, but giving me something that might be interesting like a solo and then fading out on it would send me off. It'd be the only thing I talk about. Yeah, send him that next week. That'd be my whole analysis, just ranting about finding something I like and then tearing it from me in the way that I dislike the most. Golly, that just sounds like nightmare. Not a nightmare. That sounds like nightmare, like a proper noun of nightmare, whatever that represents. This song, though, was phenomenal. I really enjoyed this. And it is on the simpler side. We don't have a lot of guitar riffage in here. A lot of it's chord based, a lot of it's atmosphere and texture. The vocals, though, are fantastic. I feel like this person has a lot of personality and energy to them that captures me. They're very charismatic. I love when they choose to put grit into a line and when they choose not to. I'm right on board with all of that. It feels very energetic when they decide to go that route. The bass line in the verse is interesting. Not that it's doing anything of interest technically, but it plays so sparsely that the rhythm ends up feeling very interesting because of that. Long hair has helped me hide the earphone during the family meal. Dude, have the meal, man. You can always watch the VOD of this later. I mean, unless you don't like hanging around your family, then totally valid. Find a way to block that out. But I don't know your family dynamics to say if one way is better than the other. Ah, jeez. Cracks me up. Uh, but I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. However, you're enjoying yourself. Um, but yeah, dude, I like this. The outro was a fun little bit. The bridge brought some intensity and I don't want to say a little bit of anger to the song, a little bit of bite to it that I think it needed. But it's a fairly straightforward track. I don't have a lot to say on it. That's why my mom always disliked my long hair. She knew the tech. Back when I was in school, I used to run earbuds down my jacket sleeve, and just I'm done with all my work. Put my head down or whatever, and just kind of put some music on. That's the classic. Yep. I did too get video games on my calculator. I had a TI 83. I think that's right. And I had Street Fighter on it. It ran at like 4 frames a second, and I had to play with calculator buttons, but it worked. And I made my own visual novels too. It had a very old or a very simplified version of Basic that they called TI Basic on it, and I used graphs to create shapes of whatever I needed whenever I wanted a picture in between bits of text. And I worked on that for a whole semester, I think. And then I upgraded to the TI 84 the next year when I took calculus, and I don't know what happened. They changed the language and I couldn't program on it anymore, and I gave up. I think all I did on it was make like some basic stuff, like Pythagorean theorem calculator. It asks you for A and B, you input them and it outputs C, and then I would use the USB cable and give it to other people in the class, and they would come to me, hey, I need a way to quickly get through this function or whatever, and I'm like, okay, make the program for it, and so that was pretty cool. Now that I think about it, I probably could have charged for a service like that, but yeah, that was all I ever got done though. Something about it. I don't know if maybe they went to like pure basic or something, but it threw me for a loop. I lost like none of the skills I developed on the 83 applied to the language of the 84. Oh, you used to also program on the 83, yeah. Didn't work on your 30? The 30 wasn't graphing though, was it? That was a scientific calculator. Oh, that's the joke. Oh, geez, the TI 30 was. Oh man. Okay, I gotta show you this picture. Because this is copy link, not copy image. What are you doing? Why? Copy? Oh, copy image link? Is that what I need? There we go. Yeah, there's probably a reason why programming didn't work on this. You did program on it though? That's very interesting. I'm looking, I don't even know how that would begin to work. I mean, obviously it would have some sort of memory, I assume. 50 steps. Oh, okay. So yeah, I see. I see what you mean by that then. Oh, geez. Yes, 80,085. A very important number for many high school calculator users. 50 steps max. I think it's pretty cool that it does have a form of programming to it, though. That's pretty cool. I don't remember how we got on this topic, though, but that seems about on par with my tangents. Just a series of jumps before I have no idea the path to the destination anymore. I quite enjoyed that song. Like I said, if I had found that in high school when it came out, I would have been all over that. And I did pull it down. They had an album out in 2022 as well, and they've only had 5 albums in that span, 03 to 22. So that'll be a good deep dive for me. I quite enjoyed that. All right, we have some EVERGREY, Cold Dreams. We got some Jonas Renkse. Why can't I pronounce? And the thing is, I've seen that name, I've pronounced that name, but I can't even. What band is that from? And Salina, Englund. Probably mispronounced that. Catatonia. That's it. I knew it was a doom rock band. I just couldn't think of what it was. But yeah, Catatonia. I'll just say Jonas. That one I know I'm pronouncing correctly. And Salina. I know I'm pronouncing that one right too. We're gonna ditch the last names. for everyone's sake. This one comes from Junie, no context on it. Let's dive into this. See what they're doing. Catatonia, son? Am I missing something? Is that a typo or is that a joke that went over my head?
I can't help to feel like I'm all alone. I need to live a life that I can control. I don't want to live a life where I feel this small. I don't want to give these scars a life of their own.
Really nice burst there. I thought that worked very well.
If you run when the sun is low, I'm going nowhere. There is no hope here. I'll be right here waiting just for you. I'm sinking slowly. It feels like quicksand. I've always known what you're looking for. You never told me, so I'm still here.
I like the back and forth here.
Just come and hold me.
Great atmosphere too.
Do you run when you're getting close?
It's an interesting. Got that texture.
Do you face what you're fearing most? I need to see some light and have time to grow. I don't want to live this life where I'm on my own. Have you ever felt deserted, like your inside's always hurting?
so far, I like the atmosphere. I like their vocals. It's not really grabbing me though. But I think it's one of those things about mood. But I do like the harmonies, I like the back and forth, I like the layering of cleans and harshes. The pacing on this is really nice too. Moving from lower energy to mid energy to that driving metal we had. Nice blues-inspired solos, too. Well, blues guitar-inspired.
You can run when the sun is low. Just like you've done all the times before.
For sure. It definitely has the... Oh, we have all three vocalists now. I think the fade out works okay here. It's very theatric, and I think that's what continues to pull me in. You know, I didn't pick up on it, but now that you talk about being very sugary, the vocalist, I think the main vocalist, is kind of got an R&B thing going on. Lots of like really small vibrato and very clear delivery. I like that, but I also understand it's not for everyone. Everything else here is credits, I believe. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed that for the most part. Like I said, I think it's a mood thing. I wasn't really in the mood for a very dramatic, theatric, doomy kind of song, and but I do think maybe it would hit me a little better on a different day, because there is a lot of stuff in here that does work very well on its own, and even subjectively stuff that I could hear myself listening to on specific days, and stuff that I've even listened to in the past. So yeah, like I said, I think it's a mood thing, but they do a lot of things fantastically in here. The atmosphere is great from start to finish, whether it is low and sort of dragging, kind of feeling low energy, to kind of featuring a bit of a mellow type of movement where it's still a bit more somber, but there's a direction, a momentum to it, to their more driving metal stuff that has bite and aggression. Even the guitar solo I thought was excellent, kind of bringing in a little bit of the metal shred, but pairing it with like bluesy guitar style bends to really give a little bit of that anguish that I think the song is going for. And maybe that's just the black and white imagery of the video influencing that. But it does feel like a song that is rather heavy emotionally. And the blues guitar sells a lot of that pain for me in its narrative melody writing. So yeah, it is a song though that sticks with its ideas for a long time. It is definitely a song that felt like it was over 6 minutes long for me. And I think part of that is just due to the length of sections, not due to them being long on paper. Maybe they're just 16 bar phrases, but the tempo's a bit on the slower side and it stretches the song out, which absolutely fits the feelings of the song. Again, artistically the right way to go about it. Just I'm not really in the mood for a lower energy track like this right now. But yeah, I generally enjoyed that. And I think on a different day it would hit me a lot better. The vocal stuff's great. My only big issue with it is that Salina doesn't do much. I assume Salina is the female vocals that sit in the background at a couple of times and just provide texture. She doesn't get any lines or lyrics or anything like that and pops up only twice, I think, which is a bit of a shame for a featured vocalist. Doesn't feel like they were featured very much in the song. But Jonas was featured quite a bit in that, so that worked out really well. And like I said, I like the two male vocals. I thought they worked really well together, and the mixing of the harshes and the cleans. The drums and the guitars, though, a lot of that's just really muted, building atmosphere more so than anything else. I don't really have a lot of comments on either of those. Irist? Lyrist? Is that an L or an I? It's an I. Irist, with the track Severed. This one comes from Horus with no context. Alright. All we have to go by is a very cool album art here with a statue possibly on fire on top of Flora. So, yeah. Got yourself some vocalists in metal. Yep. Alright, let's dive into this one. See what's going on with them. I think the last few tracks on here, other than Azure, are on the short side, like 2, 3, 4 minutes long. So, should be able to get through this rather quickly. It's still going to push us over. We'll probably end here about 30 minutes past the usual time, but alright, let's kick it. Descent. Oh no. Yeah, a little bit of a rise up. 3/4. Fun drum part. I did ask for multiple vocalists, that is true. I'm always asking for multiple vocalists. A lot of aggression from the vocals, giving a softer band production. I like that higher pitch overtone with the reverb. That sounds real nice. Massive contrast between these low cleans and the high harshes. And we're mixing them, yes. I was going to say I felt a 5 in there. I was going to count that. But this is back to the 3. But I felt a 5 in that last section, and then I don't know what we did at the end. vocals to carry over, the band cuts out for a moment. Yeah, dude, that was slick. I'm not usually a fan of that much reverb on vocals, but it works on this band. They're using it well in the atmosphere. The tremolo picking to increase the intensity. Bringing back the verse on top of the aggression we built onto it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a very interesting combination of a rawer sound with a very clean production. Kind of trying to find the midpoint there. Yeah. I dug that. Definitely in the metalcore realm. Kind of has a lot of poppy aesthetic to it, especially at the beginning. The clean vocals with that guitar melody that we heard on the fade out there. The lighter drumming, the lighter bass work definitely feels very modern. But then we push into the metallic side, and I honestly like what's going on there. The guitar riffs, the aggressive drumming, even the harsh vocals, I think generally work. There is this very cool high-pitched overtone that exists alongside it that, when paired with the reverb, I don't know, it just creates like this almost a whistle on top of all of it that works really well at delivering a little bit of emotion in a type of harsh that I typically don't hear much emotion in subjectively. And then to use this reverb as a transition idea that second time through was such an inspired idea. I love that. And the general growth of the song, too, continuing to stack up the metallic elements to create something heavier over time, and then to inject the instrumentation of the quieter part alongside that to wrap the song up in a sort of full circle, bring it all together perspective. Yeah, dude, they packed a lot of ideas into 3.5 minutes, and I think it's really well done. I've never heard of them before. This album came out 5 years ago. Oh, it looks like they only have 2 albums, so they're 8,000 monthly listeners. They're definitely a smaller band. I'm gonna have to check them out. If nothing else, then at least just one other song to kind of see what they're doing. I think that they have a cool little space here with the type of digestible metalcore, but not in the way that mainstream metalcore is in right now. Kind of doing their own thing. ISIS producer. Yep, that checks out. In fact, even knowing it's Mastodon's producer, thinking about their weight and size, I can kind of hear some of that in the largest part of this. Yeah. I wonder if they're working on anything then for their third album now, since it's been 3 years since their last one. I know the hard thing is, especially with being such a small band, that they probably also have jobs and lives, and this is more of a third pillar to their life. So I know it takes longer to get work out in those situations too. You know, big bands, they can pump out an album every couple of years because that's their job. But other people, you know, they don't have that. Smaller bands don't have that affordance usually. All right. Next song we have Carmanah with the song. Oh, with Nightmare. Let's talk about Nightmares just a little bit ago. This comes from Wormy. Chill pop with some groove and a bit of blues. Oh, that's interesting. We don't get too much pop on this channel. I'm always down for more of it though. And of course, we got to change the volume all the way to the other side. And after this, we'll go back to Spotify. I got to put it all the way back to the other side. All right. Let's dive into this. See what's going on with Carmanah. I'm already sold. Vulcan releases one every 5 years or so. Yeah. Yep, you gotta get the bills paid. And then, if you have time, you can work on your music. But the nice thing about Vulcan is they deliver every time, so the wait's usually worth it. I'm thinking the vocal effect is just for this intro. It would not surprise me if we got a less compressed sound eventually. There we go. Oh. The layering on this too. Yeah, the syncopation on the steel brushes on the snare against the hi-hat's really nice. I wonder if the lyrics comments on that, or if they just chose the forest because they like that as a backdrop. I really dig whoever did the costuming on this though. Maybe it's just them. Both of their outfits are awesome. I was kind of hoping that, like, I picked up the words in that chorus, but it didn't tell me what the name was. Yep.
Take my breath, take my limbs from under me. I can see a nightmare with my open eyes, with my open eyes. I can see a nightmare with my open eyes, with my open eyes. I can see a nightmare with my open eyes. How I miss your body, how I miss your soul, how I miss your body,
I think the nightmare is missing a loved one.
how I miss your soul. Hey, take me home.
I don't think it has anything to do with the forest. Actually, I don't know. The lyrics are exceptionally vague. But yeah, time running out in some situation. I mean, the final lines are how I miss your body, how I miss your soul. And while I think on a literal stance that would be of a specific other, but it could also be like the body and soul of the earth on a metaphorical level. And given given the vagueness on the rest of the lyrics, it really could go either way, I think. Shame the wasteful world as it's falling back to sleep, and claim the beaten ground as their own for them to keep. Okay. Again, though, like, I think that can go either way. It could be talking about how I don't know, man. There's a reason I stopped doing live lyric breakdowns, and I go off camera to sort of. It takes me a second to digest, and I'm kind of like I can see the pieces here, but I can't put them together right now. But yeah, generally though, I like that song. I think it has a great groove, a great beat. I like the atmosphere to it. There's a couple of really nice musical passages. A lot of it, though, is atmospheric. It's background. It's designed to create this uh, loungy pop kind of sound for the vocals to be on top of, to create this pop song. Because it is, at the end of the day, fairly straightforward pop track. We've got chord progressions, we've got a straightforward beat, we have the A B A B C B structure. The bridge itself is quite a bit short, which seems to be a recurring idea in more and more modern pop music. Um, but I do like their vocals. I think they sound great together. I'd love to hear more of that. I feel like his vocals were a bit lower in volume than hers, and it creates this I don't know, a lack of power where his feels more like an afterthought, which if it is about missing him because he's gone, that kind of works artistically. But I would have liked more power in that. Maybe even it felt like he was really at the lower end of his range too. Um, and I would have liked to hear something that was a little bit higher, still comfortable for him, but I felt like that gap was really large between their range, and that also might be thematically accurate too. So there might be a lot of things in there that work on a thematic level that I don't think work as a showcasing of the group. And I'd like to hear something little more, maybe more bombastic from them, a little more energetic. I think I'll check out more of them. Although if a lot of it is still on that lighter energy side, I don't know if I'll stick with it, but I think there's potential for me to enjoy what they're doing. West Coast soul. I can see the soul element, and I guess I'm going to assume maybe they live in California, maybe Washington. Maybe they do live on the West Coast. Assuming we're talking about the U.S. West Coast here, it could be the West Coast of anywhere. But I hate genres like that. Sometimes it's applicable. Where like, Florida death metal is different than European death metal, right? But if you're just gonna make this up and tell me that this doesn't sound like most soul music, tell me it's West Coast soul. Nah, I'm not about that. Just say you're bringing soul back, man. Although honestly, here I don't hear a lot of soul. It's more like an inspiration rather than a core tenet of it. This is pop music at its heart. A lot of modern pop rock, I think specifically, with a little bit of a harmonic leaning towards a more soul or even R&B chord progression, even a slight leaning. You can't just make up genres, man. It's like making up your own nickname. It never works. You wait for decades to go by for some people to assign a genre to the music you made. I'm mostly kidding though. Mostly. I'm not here to gatekeep genres, although I think I have in the past. Anyways, named after a park there. Oh, okay. Canada. Very cool. I was kind of wondering where the name came from, but people come up with strange names all the time. Sometimes just because it sounds cool. And Carmanah kind of sounds cool. Rolls off the tongue. Nice recurrence of that vowel sounds. All right. We have Azure. This one comes from 2112, pairing up with Tiger Charm. Going with my latest obsession. This album is very musical theater coded, and this song is no exception. Musical storytelling throughout with one of my now favorite vocalists. We've checked out Azure in the past. I've been quite receptive to them. I enjoy what they're doing, and I think that they have a lot of chops. And I've been meaning to get around to listening to their albums, and we haven't quite yet. We don't like America any. Uh, that's good. It didn't even dawn on me that, yeah, the Canadian thing there, because I was talking about West Coast US. They improvised massively from their older stuff you checked out. Oh, improved massively. That's that reading comprehension there. Okay. So that's awesome because I remember talking about how I thought they had a lot of potential, but I think the song itself was a bit rough for me. Like I liked parts of it, but it was a little scattered. So hearing that they've improved a lot is awesome. So let's dive into this. It is one track with 3 movements. I'm going to assume Sky Sailing, Beyond the Bloom, and Wilt. Let's see what's going on.
The lavender fox descends and scampers beside me. A pouch of petals fastened under its throat, and I understand the wind's riddle resolved. Our flight path revealed.
I think when my reaction came out, they had already finished up their next. They had finished their next album up already, but I'm interested to know how many bands have listened to my analysis and have taken it to heart. Dude, this is wild. It sounds like it came out of the 70s. Yeah, I wonder how many bands have taken what I've said to heart. There's so many moving parts. Yeah, the feeling of soaring here, of elevation, very strong. I mean, part of it is just his range. Dude, that falsetto there. Throwing a dash of brush here. Nice moving bass line under all this too. Definitely going for a bit of a maximalist approach. I mean, I know we're only 2 minutes in, but it's cram-packed with lots of fast-moving ideas. Theatrical, bringing in a bit of the romantic classical writing.
Though I could cast a fire, 'twould be a pity to destroy when we've no shortage of time.
Very musical, yeah. A little whimsical too.
Though I could burn away, I would much rather preserve this.
I love this whole segment though.
Such pleasant distortion.
And it's not even just the instrumentation, which they all sound great too, but it's also legitimately musical, like stereotypical music.
This prison beyond them is nothing but death, great decay. All that we touch turns to soot, and we trample on. Yes, we must wander on.
the slow reintroduction of the rock instruments while still retaining the orchestral ones to help us move from one state to another. Well, maybe not. The auxiliary percussion is fantastic. Hearing those bass kicks is really interesting in this context. That bass descent. And now moving into like a rock opera direction. So what is that? Keyboard, piano, and guitar all playing around with that same motif. The note chorus makes sense. Well, I mean, given that it's 3 movements, I kind of assumed there wasn't really going to be a chorus. The parallel movements on this is nice. You know what this reminds me of? Somehow a more theatric Haken.
My one-winged companion abandons in gruesome mistrust, and I'm left alone with my deed, with eyes too inflamed to be fuddled like glamour. I sink my friend's stained blade into the pallet, and it
That tempo change was quick but smooth. I feel like this is going to scratch the itch for a very specific group within this community, and everyone else is not going to get it. If this is your least favorite, I was talking to Mark about this the other day, but if this is your least favorite, I'm really excited for the rest of the
My
album.
new shift that's all around me. Color reigns, the sun prevails. Yet harm is all I care to deal and dwell on. If I had thought that it would end this way, that every bloom was due its will.
So it's one of those albums to have the lyrics nearby, or pre-read them even. Is this the group that wrote the book before they wrote the album? Ooh, interesting bell idea. Yeah, if you get caught up in the emotional story or the lyrical story, this is definitely going to grab you. Okay, so there is I thought they wrote the story first as a book. Didn't publish it or anything, but just kind of used it as like a basis for the album. But I might have had that story wrong. I can see that, Evil. I think that this is one of those songs that you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who says that it's just objectively bad. There's a lot of skill immediately on display across musicianship, across composition, across production, but it's certainly going to be something that a very small group of people enjoy. Yeah, the singer is I've commented on the singer before. He's got a range, he's got power, and I think more than anything is charisma, it's personality. He's just easily grabs my attention, at least, in almost everything that he sings, and just finds a way to bring the right personality out for it. Most of this track is falsetto belts or just a very high projected theatric style of vocals, a little bit of a dash of rock projection thrown in there too. But there are times when he kind of like feels like he is sucked inward, and he gets a little bit of this grit in there, and kind of feels a little bit more devious, maybe. Other times where his voice kind of brightens up, kind of rounds out a little bit too, and it's all these little nuances to the vocal delivery, I think, that sells many of these different moments for me. Like I said, he just has a strong grasp of, I suppose, maybe the characters he's portraying, and takes his natural charisma and just brings all that together, and it delivers. It's very, very enthralling, as Per had mentioned. Absolutely phenomenal vocalist. The drum work in here is excellent. The guitar work in here is great. The bass lines are fantastic. And the production is immaculate. Right there on that same level of Haken, of being almost too clear and too pristine at times. But incredibly precise and well done. And the composition is just phenomenal. In fact, I think the rock sections are my least favorite parts of this track. I love anytime they deviate from that and explore a wider palette of instrumentation. Those sections are magical to me. I do think it kind of suffers from trying to do too much. Maybe it makes more sense within the context of the album. I can't comment on that yet, but as a standalone experience, it feels heavily segmented, and I don't necessarily understand how all the parts work together. And some of the parts I think are a bit too much. I think it starts off a little too much. That opening section is very extra in a lot of ways. But many of the other sections, even with more instruments and more layers on display, felt a bit more balanced and nuanced to me. So I think it really is just a couple of sections that feel like it's trying to do too much rather than the song as a whole trying to do too much. All right, Leon, have a good rest of your day. Figuring out why it doesn't click is going to be difficult. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on too. And it may be that some parts click a little better than others, but the experience as a whole kind of turns you off. So there's a lot of things to parse through trying to figure that out. It's linear like a storybook. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And it's not even just from like a lyrical or a narrative side. I think musically, it just goes forward. It says, you know, this was the bar or this was the phrase we just played. What should come after that? Not how should we loop it, not what should this riff or ostinato be, but what idea is supposed to come next, not too dissimilar from I said this sentence, what sentence should follow that. I totally get that idea. Haken on Steroids No Spun released a killer EP just recently. Have I listened to No Spun? I recognize that that name. I don't think so. Unless there was a unless there was a live stream pick for them. I haven't done a full reaction though. I'm looking right now. But I typed in NOS into my search, and the band Nostalgia came up. We checked them out in 2021. And I remember this music video. I remember saying I was going to check it out, and I completely forgot about this group. I have them under Art Pop. I'm going to have to pull that aside and make sure I check that out this time. Dang. I listen to too much music, which sounds like it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, this Azure track was good. Definitely a little too much at times, and like I said, if this is their weakest on the album, it sets the bar really high for everything else still. But I do think I'm going to prefer their other tracks, because this is, there is a longer one on here, but almost everything else is double or single digits, and I think kind of constraining the ideas down is going to work really well. Yeah, I think I was of Brian and Angel's Beaks. That's what we listened to last time, or at least that's the album we listened to last time. Oh yeah, Emi Otoko. Yep, that was the track. Oh, we did listen to both parts though, separate reactions, I remember. Alright, cool, yeah. Oh, it was in one reaction. Okay. For some reason I thought it was split. But yeah, that a lot of the theatrical sides of that scratch a very specific itch for me. In fact, like I mentioned, to a point that the rock parts, I was like, yeah, can we get back to, that orchestral stuff you got going on? That was pretty fantastic. From Kipper, I'm in a mood. We have Clark's Small. This song is just 2 minutes long. All right, Evil, have a good rest of your day. Let's see what's going on with this.
Show me all the good lies, what you keep locked up inside.
Say it's a small song. At just 2 minutes, I would.
Appetite finally waning. Come by any time. Took the last one when you looked away. Cycles of thoughts tumbling in a bitter automatic code. So right, but so unkind. Cycles of thoughts tumbling in a bitter automatic code.
Nice minimal atmosphere.
So right, but so unkind. Finally it's over. I can only offer you my condolences.
I have a feeling though that I'm gonna find this to be a good intro and wish it went somewhere.
The less tragic it is. Yeah, I know it's over. All we're left with are condolences. The more you were asking for it,
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I was right. It's got a great atmosphere. I like the build up, but it doesn't feel like a full song to me. And I feel like that final moment was supposed to be the peak, and maybe in isolation it would be. It's kind of tough to listen to something like this alongside, 10 to 14 other tracks in one sitting like this of varying production styles and qualities, because maybe that does feel like a peak on the album. Maybe it's a rather somber album for the most part, and having that larger, especially synth sounds in the background, kind of creating this big atmosphere, would feel impactful in that environment. But compared to what we just listened to with Azure and some of the heavier tracks of today, it feels really small and tame. It never really feels like it hits a peak for me. And that's just a bit of this unfair environment of listening to it against stuff from other artists. But it never feels like it reaches a point of completion. It feels like it's still a potential ready to be explored. But I do like the atmosphere of the first few sections before I kind of hit that ending. I think the vocals are a nice addition to it. They're interesting in that they bring a bit of somber reality to things. It feels heavier, but there's also a catchiness to it. I think that's usually a bit of a rarer thing, where if you want catchy vocals in a sad song, you usually want sadder music with maybe happier vocals or something like that, bouncier vocals. And here they found a way to kind of create something that feels a bit heavier but still catchy. I guess that's about it for that one. It's a nice short song, a bit of a slow burn, great layering, great atmosphere. All right, Douglas Land. Not sure what. Oh, Her New Knife. We've listened to them before, haven't we? I think they're a smaller group. Being a daisy in a flower shop. I don't think I understand the reference. What is it about? Like, do daisies represent something metaphorically? Because I'm like, yeah, that's a flower. It belongs in a flower shop. But it might be something that I'm missing. Maybe a cultural thing or a metaphor. Oh, an environment for the last song. Okay. This one comes from Christopher with no context. I will say, though, on the last song, getting all those PCB and cleaning them up, I find that to be very, not fun, but just soothing, maybe? I don't know. I love cleaning electronics. A little bit of alcohol and some cotton swabs. Just kind of clean it. I don't know. Something about it just works for me. I love opening devices and cleaning them out. All right, so Her New Knife. Don't know what we're getting in for here, so let's just dive straight in. Douglas Land version 1. Oh, okay, so I didn't know daisies were small. That's the thing. They can disappear I got you. See, that's the context I was missing. Thank you for that. A little bit of a grunge thing going on here. The noisy guitar screeches with the vocals being like a light and airy. Very Deftones right here. I think it's also the compressed vocals too. That's a staple of Deftones vocal production. But there's something about this guitar, like center left, against this massive wall of sounds. I was like, is it over already? No, we're only halfway through. I really want to like this. It's something that I think I should like. Okay, it's getting a bit noisier. They're giving me reasons not to enjoy it as much. You know, it's interesting. The first half I would have labeled as grunge or maybe alt rock, but this is definitely slowcore. I think, Harry, you called it preemptively maybe a little bit, but you heard something I didn't. What really sells this is it's the textures on the outside of the song. Yeah, I could see some shoegaze. It's a very noisy shoegaze, that's for sure. Yeah, this is a tough one for me, particularly because it's noisy all the way through. It's definitely got some Deftones inspiration to it. Oh, they list themselves as shoegaze, or somebody lists them as shoegaze. I can see it. Shoegaze to me tends to be a bit more brighter in way. I mean, it's still a heavy sound, but I don't know. This feels, maybe it's just because I don't hear grungy or like. Well, no, because we have two. I think I need another shoegaze week. I think is what I need. It's been so long. I kind of have this specific style associated with shoegaze, and I think it's much broader. And I've heard a much broader sound from the genre. It's just not the first thing I think of. But yeah, okay. So I see some shoegaze in this. But definitely Deftones. A lot of it comes from the vocals. I mean, it's very light, very airy. Almost no energy really given us at all. And it just feels dreary from that perspective. The compression on it also makes the vocals feel smaller than they are, which makes them feel smaller than the music in most cases. Even during the chorus, which I think is the biggest showcasing of this guitar that's center left over here is louder than the vocals. I find it very difficult to understand a single thing the vocalist is singing during the chorus. The gritty slowcore fits for the singing. Oh, okay. Yeah. We have to check out some more slowcore because like I have an understanding of it conceptually. Oh, for the song. Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't have a lot of experience with slowcore other than just understanding kind of what it is on paper. But it never really feels like it goes anywhere. And I think that's something that Deftones does really well, is that they'll take something like the verse of this and then build that into something high energy, usually with like screaming and loud guitar work. And this band doesn't do that. They do raise the intensity. There's a general movement of energy here, but it doesn't ever reach a peak like what I expect. Instead, they trade that off for tension and anxiety, and there is a big difference in the least tense sections to the most tense sections. In fact, right there at the end of the song, we had these guitar screeches, we had vocal, I think it was yelling, maybe even screaming. All of this super compressed, volume dropped, moving around the background of the song. And it's without that, I think the song kind of comes off as mid. It's very much, okay, this is a strong atmosphere and that's all you got. But when you take in all of these extra sounds, the embellishing elements, I think that's what elevates it and turns it into something else. Because it does feel overwhelming by the end of the song. And I didn't expect to feel that given the first 4 minutes of the track. And that overwhelming nature made me begin to feel very tense and anxious and kind of ready for the song to end. Time for some early low. Yeah, we had low recently, I think, but it was a newer track from them. I think I enjoyed that too. Oh, am I getting them mixed up with State Faults? I might be. But yeah, it's the production, it's the layering at the end of the track that I think sells this. It takes something that I felt like I've heard before and turns it into something that is an emotional experience. Because other than that, there's nothing really that sticks out to me. Almost everything in here, vocals included, are designed to sell the atmosphere, which I've spoken about pretty thoroughly already. Not my cup of tea, though. That's the grunginess of the beginning kind of spoke to me, but once we began to introduce more noisy elements, it was like, yeah, I'm not the audience. Started to taper off there, my enthusiasm for it. Oh, yep, I remember that song. Yeah, sometimes that's what it takes. The song title is what might stick with me. Yeah, that was excellent. No Comprende was a fantastic track. So that was, I remember that being folkier. So they do slowcore though earlier in their career. I'd be down for that. Kind of see what they do with a different style. All right. I want to thank everyone for sticking around. I know we're half an hour past when we usually end these, but we're going to get through all 13 tracks that I wanted to today. That's awesome. And also, thanks to the new fiber internet, 0 dropped frames. Such a much better experience than last week. All right, we have some ALTESIA. Her Ghost in Limbo comes from Astrazi with no context. Yeah, dude, this was good. I kind of had a feeling. I've been doing internet tests all week and stress tests. I uploaded the album review, which normally takes like 6 hours, in 16 minutes. That was phenomenal. I love that so much. I didn't have to run the computer overnight to get the upload going. But I kind of knew it was going to work. But it's really nice to get to the end of this stream and be like, yeah, it does in fact work. And this is, including the 10 minutes that I do at the beginning so people can come into the stream prior to it starting. I mean, we're probably going to get close to a 3-hour stream here with no dropped frames. That's the best kind of stress test I can give it. So I feel confident kind of bumping up some bit rate and kind of pushing the internet now. Although I think Twitch still only takes 6 meg and I'm at 4 meg, so it's not like it's going to be a huge difference. But anyways, let's get into this. Let's get this wrapped up. I'm ready to get some food. No blocking, no connection errors. Only human errors are possible. Yep, I can always get in the way of my own success. Way too many stream moments in the past where I've been the reason the stream has gone off the rails. All right. We got some ALTESIA here. I think we've checked them out before. This is like metalcore or alt metal or something like that. Let's dive in. Now we can blame you for everything. Not what I was expecting. I think I've misremembered them. Dude, that muted guitar work. I'm digging that. Very fun. The multiple vocals harmonized here, but split in that previous section. You always have a good reasons for postponing. Entertaining errors are welcome. This was a massive shift. Ooh, I like that bass line. I mean, it's just harmonic movement, but it adds a lot of depth to that guitar line. The drumming is nice too. Alright, you got my attention, guy. A little bit of a klezmer thing going on. Definitely a Haken style rhythm right here. Who else do they remind me of? The production on that drum kit was wild. He was hitting that thing full power. Oh, Circus Maximus. Yep. Are they all? Is the video mirrored? Or do they all play guitars lefty? That would be interesting for a full band to do that. Oh wait, no, they're all... What am I thinking? Yeah, Circus Maximus are very Dream Theater. But no, the guitars are... I I have no idea, man.
back in time, over and over again, still by the grave, watering roses.
Oh, that piano line. Such a tasty little addition.
Go back in time, over and over again. I'll find a way, I'll leave a thing.
I love that jazzy rhythm on the bass. You're pulling out some Leprous vocals there. Ending it on that? No way. Oh, this is new. Upcoming third album from June 13th. Okay. At least every second album under the same name. Wouldn't that be fun? Get a couple of bands together who sound or can sound very similar and then trade off albums. That would be fun. Yeah, I mean, that's just great prog rock, prog metal right there. Obviously, you know, there's Haken inspiration there. But they also include a lot of really fun ideas. And Haken's not adverse to including fun ideas either. But we had like some almost circusy sections in there, as far as well, particularly that first muted guitar line was kind of interesting, and it kind of brought in a sort of bizarre harmonic element to the track for what they were going for. But the drum work in here is excellent. The guitar riffs are wild. The movement between all of this was rather interesting too. There were a couple of really harsh transitions, which I think were done for effect, but a majority of it had, you know, linear movement from idea to idea. Everything sort of just evolved and grew into the next. So, yeah. Haken, yeah. Well, okay, so I think I haven't heard a lot of Haken. So I don't necessarily associate that with them. Maybe they do it more than I think, but yeah, I've heard a couple of times they've done it for sure. Circus metal is what I call them. There was this band we checked out through, I'm gonna have to look it up. It was creator request, I'm pretty sure. And it was like progressive metal. It was like if System of a Down was mixed with like Haken or Dream Theater or something like that. And this band reminded me of them a lot, but I cannot for the life of me remember that band name. I'm going to have to go through the playlists and see if I can find that. But yeah, some of the random musical melodies, Troldhagen. Yep, that works too. There's a lot of really odd things in here. In a sense, I mean, System of a Down doesn't have a monopoly on that, but there's sections that reminded me of that band in particular, and their willingness to just sort of go anywhere and do anything on their earlier albums that I kind of feel in here too. Like, nothing's really off the table with this band. They're very serious. They want to show that they're serious. They have serious writing throughout a lot, but specific decisions or transitions or even an idea in itself, particularly with the dual vocals at times, made me think of System of a Down kind of jumping around between ideas. But definitely within a very prog metal framework. So yeah, it's a fun group. And I thought we had checked them out before, and we did, but it was a long time ago. This thumbnail is old. 2022. We checked out A Liar's Oath. Oh, this was also through creator request, which I saw that they only have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube on their official channel, Too Not a Topic. So they're a smaller group, and hopefully some people have found a new band to dive into and can kind of help them bump their numbers up a little bit, get a little bit more publicity, because I think they deserve it. This song is very... The hashtags they put for the video: Gent, Prog Rock, Dream Theater. They're not even disguising it. They're like, yeah, we're influenced by them. So let's put that in our in our hashtags. That's good. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. I want to thank everyone for sticking with me this long. If you came in late, that's awesome too. We almost hit 3 hours. This, I think, it's the longest stream I think I've ever done. Honestly, even with the 10 minutes off at the front, I don't think we've ever run this far over. Dude, if they open for Haken, that would be fantastic. I just found out that, well, I found out earlier this morning, but I found out that Poppy played over here with House of Protection opening for him last night. And I didn't know. And I probably would have went if I did know, because I was already kind of out there. And it was at a local House of Blues, and I was like, yeah, dude, that would have been a good show. But I had no idea until this morning. So that kind of sucks. Anyways, yep, let's wrap this up. Me and my tangents. I can't even say goodbye properly. I'm going to get all this handled. We'll get the VOD out as soon as possible. Early access will be available in the next couple of hours, I guess. Well, I guess sometime in the next 3 hours, because that'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is when I always get them out by. And then tomorrow we'll kick off Anxiety Week, which sounds fun, right? We all like to be tense and anxious. A few more tangents and we'll reach the 24-hour stream. Geez. Yeah, just a few more. Yeah, not a lot. We're almost there. All right. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll catch you later.